All right, everybody. If you're standing towards the side, would love it if you could please come and take a seat. We're going to be moving into our next session, which we're very excited about, which is a fireside discussion between Sandeep Nailwal. He's a co-founder of Polygon and a core contributor at Sentient. And he'll be in discussion with Bridget Harris, who is an investor at Founders Fund. Please welcome to the stage Sandeep and Bridget.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Okay, cool. Kind of going to start with like setting the stage a little bit. Curious your take on why do open source AI models lag like 12 to 18 months behind proprietary ones, and what do you think about that?
I think structurally, for me, like I think it's basically more about how the incentive structures might be working in these systems, because except like let's say Facebook's llama model, Meta's llama model, who have like a huge amount of money, and they are like basically even their strategy is more like a scorched earth strategy, right? So that like people are ahead of us, so let's distribute this, and they have been like traditionally behind, right? Previously it was only OpenAI, and originally it used to be only Google, then OpenAI and Google, and then others had to catch up. So I think, and this is not like a very long history, like it's like these models exploded like end of 2022, right? So it's been like maybe 18 to 24 months of the overall like this craziness around it. So one is that I think like traditionally these two closed source main players, OpenAI and Google, have been ahead in general, and then after that Meta came in and they use this like scorched earth strategy. But the other open source models also, I think like there should be a problem of incentives also for them, because their valuations probably are not that great, the fundings and all that. So the kind of resources they can throw at it must also be like a little bit less. But I also feel that these things, the open source models are catching up slowly. Like you also see anytime the llama model comes in, like it's like 80-85% already there. Or maybe more compared to let's say OpenAI Chat GPTs and all or GPT, right? And the 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 Chat GPT's performance is so good, is as a consumer product, is because it's like not only the model but a huge amount of like software stuff built on top of it, right? So that also might be the reason it feels like they are much further behind, but it's a combination of multiple things.
And then sort of in line with that, curious about Sentient's approach to this problem, and then maybe you can explain the concept of like model loyalty and how that works.
Yeah, so basically, everybody, I mean, in crypto specifically, on a strategic level, it looks very simple that, AI is a centralizing force, and these centralized companies are running away with their AI models and things like that. And, what is the best technology to decentralize this, this hugely, which can be very disruptive for the humanity also. How do you, kind of decentralize this technology? And then the decentralization technology is crypto. So strategically, it's very clear that there should be some overlap between crypto and AI. And last 1.5 years since this AI and crypto category that I have been seeing, like I've received like hundreds and hundreds of pitches from there for like angel investments and working with Polygon and all that, and with even symbolic capital also. And then whenever we see there's no direct integration of crypto into this. Like, okay, we are using maybe ZK, ML technologies we'll use to have like trustless inferences, but how do they, like, who are the actual users of that? I always, used to question this thing. And this model loyalty is like one idea that came into my mind, and I recently tweeted about this also, that Sriram from EigenLayer was at my home, and we were discussing this. I said that I have this stupid idea about this AI. This might be the reason because I'm not AI native at all. Like in terms of the technology, I understand crypto more, but I just simply said that what if like, considering like I have this habit of, I think the word is anthropomorphizing AI. Like, so basically I always humanize the AI, right? So I said that what if this I gave an example of Navy SEALs, that these Navy SEALs, even if enemy captures or some soldiers of an army of a country, even if some enemy captures them, still they will not reveal the secrets of so easily of their country because they are loyal to the country. Can we do something, like if this AI is going to develop as a human brain or like something similar, why can't we make this AI loyal to a community, to set of ideas, to financial arrangements and all that? Can we do that? And then Shri Ram thought that, okay, this is interesting. We debated more. I told him some of the ideas that I had in my mind, and then he said that this is very, very interesting. And then he connected me to Professor Pramod and other scientists in this space. And then that's where they actually like, became very excited about this. They think that this could be a separate branch of AI research and crypto research, which is like they call like AI native cryptography. There's some very interesting stuff the team is doing, and as they reach at least the prototype level, they will talk about them more. So the model loyalty I already told you. And so in the crypto context, if you see that, imagine you had open source models which had this loyalty concept in them. So that means like now the model, you have made it, somehow you have made it legal. Like let's not loyal, let's not go into that. And then now you can make this model completely open source. Anybody can download it, they can run it on their local machines, and that model will adhere to, like, initially we are trying for a financial loyalty. That means that you have to pay to the network to run those models. And the second one eventually might be like, more community ethos. That's my, like, for me, the end goal of this like 20, 30-year plan is like, I mean, all the people who joined like crypto in 2015, 16, like, we feel like that borderless world and all that. And I've always thought to myself that if you really want to build a borderless world, at the end you need to disrupt the violence which is at the core level of our civilization. Like any civilized place you go, cities, countries, the base level is secured by armies, right? And on top of that, then the state is built. How do you disrupt that? So that like 20, 30-year long idea, like imagine you had like a drone police, which is controlled by a community, which has specified the principles of how those drones should police the whole world, and like never interfere in people's affairs, don't allow a human being to kill other human being. All these kind of principles you can put, and those drones then have these AI brains, and they police the world. So then you don't really need these nation states and the armies and all that. So that is the long-term goal, and that also comes from model loyalty, right? Like in some form. So that's where the idea from, in my mind, came through. And then the search teams are like, they feel that this is possible. Like I mean, we keep debating like a lot of cryptographic things and all that. So hopefully something comes out of that.
And then in line with like Sentient's overall architecture, my colleague Joey highlighted this in a recent thread he posted. But Ethereum basically has this model that's open source but not free to use, and Sentient is obviously trying to kind of have some parallels with that architecture. Curious, like, what you think about both the similarities and differences to that sort of like architecture are.
Oh yeah, like I mean, me being from the Ethereum community, like I'm basically like with like at Polygon, but like previously I started my crypto journey as a Ethereum community member, right? So those ethos are very strong there, right? And basically you make a completely open, decentralized, permissionless network, and then people use it, but then they pay the network in some form. And the core idea around Sentient is like that only. Like the way Ethereum is a substrate for trust, can we make Sentient so substrate for intelligence? And also this like we keep hearing about AGI and ASI and all that. And I fundamentally believe that, so I was telling this thing, like, imagine if you believe like there are some people who are like AI can never be decentralized, right? So if you are in that camp, you are already accepting that humanity is doomed, because sooner or later, some centralized AI will become powerful enough to become the warlords, right? So that's not a very promising future. And the only way is that if you want if super or the super intelligence like ASI or AGI emerges, the best way for the world to be protected against it is for everyone to have that. So when you make that model open, anybody can use it, and censorship resistance also. So all those things will come up, and we have like we have never talked about our blockchain part of thing, how it makes it censorship resistant and all that. But eventual goal is that these models are freely available for anyone to use and censorship resistant. Anybody can like just pay the network the basic fees, but then you are still able to use that intelligence. So the idea here is that if the models being trained on Sentient platform, they also achieve, like the hope is if these centralized parties, some of them achieve AGI or ASI, the Sentient models, which are completely open source, also achieve that. And then everyone has a ASI, right? And then you can, these still, like the counterbalancing forces are created, like the deterrence is created, people, very many people compare the AI to the nuclear bombs, right? And how is the world protected from nuclear bombs? Is by having these deterrents. Like multiple big countries have these nuclear bombs and nobody fires it on each other because everybody has it, right? So some kind of that game theoretic equilibrium will achieve. Like that's my kind of bull case for humanity in that. But if something like that is not achievable, then we are all doomed, right? Because we are all going to be slaves to something more intelligent than us.
Kind of switching gears a little bit to the user side. So with Sentient, like the user has to sign a cryptographic message that proves, they paid before using the model. Curious.
Could you repeat the question?
You have to like pay, right? You have to pay the model to use Sentient.
Yeah.
So curious from the user standpoint, like, if I'm still paying ChatGPT, I'm paying, Anthropic for like the top tier versions of their models. Like, what's the difference? Like, why would I choose to use Sentient instead?
Yeah, I think that this is like a less talk part because we are much far away from that. But I think if you see from the business side that right now OpenAI or these big players, they are building the models, they are hosting the models, and then they are charging the premiums on that. Like maybe they are not charging the premiums, they are offering them at cost, which is probably like, maybe their profit margins are not that high because they just want to onboard the users. Eventually they will make, they will have their margins on that. And so with this kind of intelligence, where the community built it together in this loyal form, and then eventually I think we'll reach a place where every user will be able to host these models on their local machines. But even if you assume that it will remain complicated enough, but hundreds of other people will be hosting it, right? And then it's like, the free markets, can easily, free markets have easily shown that more competition leads to better prices for the customers. So, if we consider the other scenario where every model, these things will become so optimized and standard that on my laptop I can download, or on my phone I can download the model and run it on my own. So I don't have to pay any premium on the compute and all those things. All I'm paying is that, and that will be very, very small, like per token basis, right? Like I'm not saying the crypto token, I'm talking the AI token. Per token basis, there is small pricing that the community is charging, right? And obviously community will define it basis on like what has been invested on that and all that. So you can already see that cost will be much, much, much lower than if you are buying that service from a verticalized integrated player who has built the model, hosted the model, and they are doing bunch of other services on that, and they are charging you that. So for the user, I would say yes, they have to pay, but first they are getting full autonomy. Like if you have downloaded your model on your mobile, and then you want to further fine tune it, I'm pretty sure these services will also become more and more optimized. So you can say that my local model on my mobile will be trained on my private data also. Nobody is taking your private data. So this is much more optimized for you. And obviously the cost that you don't have to pay the compute margins to somebody else and all that. So you can see that the cost will be much, much lower for the user, more autonomy, more privacy, and lower cost. So that's
Got
the
it. Awesome. And then on like the developer experience side, curious like what the flow looks like there in terms of like what does Sentient provide in terms of like compute, data, like fine tuning, all these things, and then what does the developer have to take care of, and what does that sort of like experience look like?
Yeah. So when you say the developer, I guess you are talking about from the developer where the developer wants to use the model and build something on top,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because there are two sides where the developers are there. Because one is the user side of things, and one is the contributor side of things. Like on the contribution side, also a lot of developers will come and join and do, participate in growing the models. And there are going to be multiple, kind of campaigns and all those things, which we will, slowly in the coming weeks or so, we will reveal more of that, like how these developers are going to, kind of collaborate with each other, or, participate in these campaigns to grow the AI, so to fine tune the AI. And on the other side of the development is like, where these developers can simply take the models from the platform, like simply download. And this is the post-loyalty world I'm talking about, right? Initially, maybe for the first 6 months, 12 months, the models will be fully open source. So you can come and download the model, it's fine. Eventually, but the post-loyalty work, where the loyalty has been achieved, then, as a developer, again, you simply download, you run, but like whenever assuming you have customers or users, they are like, putting a query to you, right? That query, in some form, you sign with your public key, and you need to be maintaining a balance on the network. You send it to the network, and the network gives you a signature, and that you can bring it back and give it to your, like, assume signature. Like right now, I'm just like trivializing that stuff. So the network gives you something that you take to the model, and now model recognizes that this money has been paid for me, and then the model gives you the inference. And also, like, I mean, already you can see that, this query, first it's getting signed, and it's going to the network, and it's coming back. So some people might be already questioning that, will it affect the user experience? Because like the inference times is also now a big thing, like users want faster inferences. But like I think the way the model, where the network that we will be building and all that, the goal would be that this cycle doesn't take more than 500 milliseconds. So whatever you will have, the experience you will have on any centralized player, it will never be more than that T plus 500 millisecond, right? So that's a fair enough, like I think, trade-off we feel.
On the data provider side, curious, because you guys reward, the data providers, there's a huge discrepancy in like quality of data out there, obviously. And so how do you sort of like reconcile, like basically like proportionally rewarding, these data providers based on like the quality of their data? Like how do you guys measure quality?
Yeah. Yeah. So for the quality, I think like there have been multiple such um, open data campaigns. Like, one I was giving example was also that the UW, University of Washington Data Comp project. So, Seung, who's one of the 3 professors who led that program, and that program became like very popular, and almost all like Anthropics and OpenAIs of the world, they use that data. So in that, you always have like a set of researchers. Like you have the open like crawling, where people are crawling the data and bringing it. And this is, I'm talking about the large scale data, like open data available on the network. And obviously on Sentient platform, there will be like 3 different kinds of data, right? So one, this open scraping kind of data. Then like, I don't know how we will do the private data, but maybe some mechanisms to have private data. But there are already some players who are doing it. Maybe we'll simply collaborate with them to get the private data if that's possible. And the third is the synthetic data. But for all of these 3s, like they will be like, as I'm saying, roughly like calling it campaigns, right? So we will be doing all these campaigns, and they will, like, so we have fair amount of experience in the team on how you run these large, like decentralized data downloading mechanisms. And then you have these like as I'm saying, like in my mind, I call this like checker DAO or something, but like, you can think of it like a group of people who are basically, you know, doing the job of like basically, removing the duplications and, making sure that the content is like, suitable for family use, NSFW kind of things, and all other kind of data sanctity things, like it doesn't have poisoning, all those kind of things that they will do. So that's a very, I think it's a well traversed path already in the public data campaigns, data comp kind of, I would say, sector, basically. A lot of people have done these things. So we would do in the similar form. Quality will be, obviously, that's super important for the models to have, yeah.
So kind of like on the hardware side, I know NVIDIA just shipped like a TE trusted hardware, which could be really relevant to you guys. Curious what you're thinking of, the hardware stack that Sentient's going to, leverage.
Yeah, I mean, on the TE side, like, so on the model loyalty where we are working on multiple forums, TE is like one of the, although it's a less priority approach, but is one of the approach that we are also seeing. So obviously, like, NVIDIA being the leading player in that, on the hardware side, so like our plans also include NVIDIA, but we also, we have to see like on this TE side, because we are very close to the Intel leadership, and there are like some, I would say, like crypto specific hardware players are also coming up, like, don't want to disclose their stuff right now. So, we will have a fairly diverse strategy on like, on these ones, but definitely NVIDIA, and that NVIDIA TE is like very, very helpful on that, right? Like somebody could actually, in a very trivial way, just put the whole model into that. Obviously, you can't run very big models still in a very performant way in those TEs, but, it is getting there, and this NVIDIA TE is definitely, a good step in that direction.
And then sort of just to wrap up, I know we only have, a few seconds left, but curious what you're looking forward to most for the rest of the year with Sentient, and what you guys are planning, to do for the next few months, what you're planning to ship and what you're looking forward to the most.
Yeah. So I think the most important thing is the platform to go live, and the team is working really hard on that. And then once the platform goes live, like doing some very interesting campaigns and all that with the developers, and building that community, like, you have to, it's like a slightly long process also in building that community of contributors. So this year, like, Q3, the goal would be to have the platform live and, onboard some of the community members, like early community members at least. So yeah, that is the most important part. And then I think, like, I mean, this is like, I'm going by the confidence of the team. Team feels that they would have some version of model loyalty maybe within this year, and that is like super aggressive, but if that happens, that can be game changer. And that is the whole purpose. Like I keep telling the Sentient team also that, they should be looking to do something really big. If they build this model loyalty in a more like scalable way, this can change the whole, the whole AI industry suddenly, right? Because every large corporation also can, make their models maybe somehow open source and open weights. Anybody can download. Because like all of these centralized companies, like, I speak to some of the governments also, some of the large corporations, and you can also see like a lot of Gartner research and all that is coming in. Like I think numbers are like very like insane, like 70 to 80% of CIOs are saying that they are not comfortable using these closed source AI in their platforms and all that. Like it's a pretty huge majority over there. So that thing is already, as this AI, like this Chat GPT kind of craze settles down, already the hype settles down, I mean, and the mania, then the CIOs and all that, like who are seeing through the businesses, they are already seeing that, this might not be the best thing. So that's a very positive thing for all the teams who are here, who are working on the open, AI kind of related projects. This might be like, I mean, I can see early signs in the industry that people want to use these open source models, right? So hopefully some of us are able to figure out. And then for me, it's like the 1995 or like early 1990s moment that where Microsoft has this early lead. If you go back to that time, nobody would tell you that anybody other than Microsoft is going to come and have the PC market or have some share in the PC market. I think that's the same for the AI, and maybe in 5 years, the crypto plus AI industry can turn the tide. And that's where I would end.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Sandeep.